Wow, thank you. I'm moving soon. Some of you know this, some of you don't. After being a member at UUCDC for 27 years, sometime next summer, my husband Chuck and I are moving to Asheville, North Carolina, and I will leave behind my beloved UUCDC. We're moving because our kids are grown and living their own lives in New York City, and our jobs are both fully remote. We realized that we could live anywhere. We allowed ourselves to dream. Mountains. We want mountains and hiking. A city with restaurants and culture and art. A city in the mountains. An area that was more blue than red. And finally, but maybe most importantly, a thriving UU community where I could find my people. All of this we found in Asheville. Yes, I just said all of that very matter-of-factly, but let me tell you, I am experiencing a gamut of emotion. I am excited, and at the same time, I'm scared and anxious and sad. As I contemplate this move, I find myself reflecting on the impact UUCDC has had on my life. There is no doubt in my mind I have changed dramatically over the past 27 years, and I like who I have become. Am I perfect? Of course not. Is there more I want to do? Absolutely. And I am very clear that Unitarian Universalism has helped me become a better me. What do I mean, a better me? I'm glad you asked. Because of Unitarian Universalism, I have become a better parent. Robert Fulghum wrote a best-selling book in the 80s titled, "All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten." Remember that? Well, I think my title would be, "All I Really Need to Know I Learned in UU Religious Education Classes." I learned so much from teaching religious education at UUCDC and from discussing with my kids what they learned in their classes. And along the way, there were parent support groups. When my kids were in high school, I was invited by one of our members to join a Soul Matters group. Our Soul Matters, our small ministry program, a Soul Matters group for parents of high schoolers. The parents from that group are still some of my closest friends and remain my support group for navigating parenting of my now young adult children. Because of Unitarian Universalism, I have become a better partner. Years ago, we took a class at UUCDC offered for couples. But mostly when I think about this, I think about after I returned from General Assembly the first year I went. General Assembly is the annual gathering of UU congregations. It's an immersive experience. For 5 days, you live in a little UU city surrounded by 5,000 other UUs and attend worship and workshops and hear speakers like Dr. Ibram X. Kendi and Stacey Abrams. I came back after spending a week away, which meant both leaving my husband to care for our elementary kids and paying for all the expenses of going to GA. And Chuck said, "If you want to go back to GA next year, let's plan for that. I really like who you are after you returned." It's true. Because of Unitarian Universalism, I have learned ways that I can be, that lift up the humanity of those around me. I have learned to value process over results when I undertake something. I have learned that the more people I can invite into the process, the more ideas and perspectives, the better the results will be. I have learned to notice whose voice hasn't been heard. I've learned that I don't always need to speak. And I have learned to slow down, because to value process over results takes time. Through Unitarian Universalism, I learned about the beauty of covenantal relationships, that as a faith community, we make a promise to be in this together. In the words of Francis David, a 16th century Unitarian, we need not think alike to love alike. I know that we promise to hold each other, even when we disagree, and that we will stay at the table and work out our disagreements together. It's this covenant that allows me to try new things, knowing if I make a mistake, if I fail, you will still love me. I feel held by this covenantal community and this covenantal faith. I'm learning to be an anti-racist because of Unitarian Universalism. I grew up one of the good guys. Our family considered ourselves not racist at all. That was other people. Unitarian Universalism helped me learn that racism is in the water I swim and the air that I breathe, and worse, it is built into the systems that surround us. I now understand better the white privilege that I have, and I notice the characteristics of white supremacy culture that are naturally in me. For example, I work hard not to expect perfectionism in me or anyone else. That is hard work. It is a lot easier to extend grace if I don't expect perfection. I try to leave behind the concept that there is only one right way, or that things are either this or that. Instead, I try to approach conversations from a sense of curiosity. I listen and ask a lot of questions. I try to take on the responsibility of passing on what I've learned to others, so the burden of teaching anti-racism isn't on my friends who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. I try to do all of this. I'm not perfect, but I am so much better than I was. The thing is, 27 years ago, I didn't know any of this. 27 years ago, I was stuck. I had been a superstar all my life. I graduated top in my class in high school. I went to an Ivy League college. I got an incredible job. I was on partner track. And I couldn't find any meaning in it anymore. I didn't know what to do about it. I couldn't talk about it. I didn't get out of bed. I couldn't even call in and tell them I couldn't go to work. So they fired me. When I got fired, I had to deal with it. Chuck was amazing. He said, "Don't worry about it, I got you. Take the time you need, you'll figure it out." So I got a really good therapist and a career counselor, and I thought about a UU service I had attended a few years back. Maybe if I had been thinking about what was important to me every week, it wouldn't have gotten this bad. The next Sunday, I first came into UUCDC. Our fourth UU principle has always resonated with me: to covenant and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. In that principle, I heard that I was responsible for searching. For the past year or so, the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA, has invited Unitarian Universalists in all of our congregations into a conversation about updating our purposes and principles, which will culminate in a vote next June at General Assembly. The new language lifts up the word transformation. It states, transformation. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. I first walked into UUCDC 27 years ago because I realized I was incapable of transformation alone, and I didn't want to do it alone. As a UU, I'm not alone. I am side by side with other UUs. Originally, I only thought that I needed what I needed was to attend Sunday services. And certainly, attending Sunday services is one core part of how I learn in this UUCDC community. The thing is, UUCDC and Unitarian Universalism are so full of opportunities to help us grow. I did not learn all that I have learned solely by attending Sunday services at UUCDC. I took advantage of the many, many opportunities to learn, from anti-racism classes to parenting classes to Soul Matters groups, opportunities to learn side by side with UUCDCers. One of the ways I have learned most is by serving at UUCDC. I volunteered alongside many UUCDCers in many different roles, from religious education teacher to coffee service to executive team and board president. At UUCDC, we are intentional about wanting service to help you grow. Our Growth Through Service program includes conversations with you to help you discern what service role at UUCDC will help you grow. Let me give you an example of how I am intentional about my growth, how I use service to help me grow, and how I take advantage of the opportunities that UUCDC offers to help me grow. As you know, anti-racism is an area that I've been focusing on. One of my goals is to learn to become more comfortable talking about what I've learned about anti-racism. Last spring, I read the newsletter our Director of Religious Education, Chrissy Bushhager, sends us each week, and I noticed that her plan for this year was to teach 5th and 6th graders about anti-racism. I volunteered. What a wonderful way for me to be part of helping our UUCDC children think about anti-racism, and what a wonderful way for me to grow. There are also so many resources in our larger faith. I mentioned that I go to General Assembly every June. There are also UU camps and conferences. Both GA and camps allow for an immersive experience in Unitarian Universalism that I have found have supercharged my growth. Both GA and the camps are available for adults and kids. My kids have been going to Unirondack, a UU camp in the Adirondacks, since they were 8, and they consider it one of their most sacred life experiences. I have taken online anti-racism classes like Jubilee and Beloved Conversations that are offered by other UU organizations to help UUs like us become anti-racist. I have participated in the Unitarian Universalist Association Come and Read. I have attended UUA leadership workshops so that I could learn to lead from my UU values alongside other UUs from other congregations. So, I am a better me. I am hoping that being a better me is at least in some small way making our world a better world. And transformation takes work. UUCDC and Unitarian Universalism offered me opportunities to do that work in community. I am so happy I took those opportunities. I'm inviting you to do so too. How do you want to grow? What opportunities will help support your growth? I know you will find that UUCDC and Unitarian Universalism can provide you with those opportunities and connect you with other UUs who also want to do the work. I invite you to make the most of those opportunities and be an intentional UU. And finally, I just want to say, thanks, UUCDCers, for doing this work with me. I'm hoping my new congregation will be just as supportive. Amen.